Mafia enforcer Rocco kills a family of 4, mistaking them for the Manzoni family. He severs the father's finger and sends it to Mafia boss Don Lucchese, who is in prison. However, fingerprint analysis confirms Rocco's mistake, prompting him to continue searching for the real Manzonis, who are moving to Normandy, France under the FBI's witness protection program. The family consists of Giovanni, a former Mafia boss, his wife Maggie, their children Belle and Warren, and their dog, Malavita. They are on the run because Don Lucchese, who once attempted to kill Giovanni due to their rivalry, is now seeking revenge after Giovanni's testimony sent him to jail. The family arrives at their new home at night. After restoring the power and starting a fire, Giovanni pretends to inspect the house but secretly buries a body he had in the car trunk in the backyard. The next morning, the family prepares to adapt to their new lives. Maggie explores the town to find activities and places of interest. Her deepest fears are confirmed at the cafe she stops at. It's a small town with not much to offer. She then heads to a convenience store to buy groceries and hears the clerk and some customers bad-mouthing Americans in French, assuming she doesn't understand. Enraged, she grabs some liquor and a gas can, tosses them into the storeroom, lights a match, and throws it in there. She pays for her groceries quickly and leaves just before the storeroom explodes. Afterwards, she eats at a fast food restaurant, drawing shocked stares by slurping her soda loudly. Then, she visits the church and makes friends with the priest. Belle and Warren head to their new school, where Warren almost immediately gets into trouble with some bullies. They beat him up in the bathroom after he mouths off to them. At lunchtime, he meets with his sister and shares all the intel he's gathered on the students, as he's planning to start a small mafia group at school. After school, Belle walks home while a car with 4 teenage boys follows her, inviting her to hang out. Initially, Belle refuses, but as she gets lost in town, she decides to accept the ride. Instead of taking Belle home, the boys lead her to a lakeside hangout popular among teens. Belle asks to be taken home, but the leader suggests she relax and makes suggestive remarks, lowering her dress strap. Determined not to let this slide, Belle retrieves a tennis racket from the car and uses it to fight off the boy, then admonishes the group to treat women with respect. She then takes the boy's car and drives herself back home. Meanwhile, Giovanni heads to the gate to smoke a cigarette, even though he shouldn't. He quickly spots FBI agents watching him from nearby and heads back inside to look around the glass garden shed. After rummaging through the shed, he finds a working typewriter and decides it's time to write his memoir, detailing how he took over the family business from his grandfather. During a break, Giovanni meets his neighbor through their adjoining backyards and invents a story about being a writer when asked about his job. Later that evening, during a family dinner, Robert Stansfield, the FBI agent overseeing their case, pays them a visit. After approving Giovanni's story, he inquires about a local shop owner who vanished recently. Giovanni claims ignorance, though he actually killed the man for selling him falsely labeled fresh seafood that was actually frozen. This is the body he had in his car trunk when he arrived. Stansfield warns Giovanni to stay out of trouble and informs him that FBI agents DeSicco and Mima will be watching him from the house across the street. Giovanni then joins his wife in bed and has a nightmare about a barbecue party from years ago when Lucchese decided to attack. The next day, while Giovanni is engrossed in his writing, Maggie asks what he's working on and panics when she learns it's a memoir, fearing it might cause them serious problems. She then takes a tray of food she prepared for DeSicco and Mima and goes to deliver it, after asking Giovanni to check the tap water, which is running brown, since the plumber she called hasn't shown up. At school, Warren is starting to connect with influential people, using both information and stolen items to get them on his side. Meanwhile, Belle had to fight a girl in the bathroom for stealing her pencil case. She also notices a very attractive guy in the cafeteria. Warren tells her that's Henri, a college student who's subbing for the math class. Everyone at school likes him, so Belle anticipates lots of competition if she wants to pursue him. She decides to ask Henri for private math lessons after class, and he agrees. Warren later confronts his bullies outside the school and, with the help of his new contacts, beats them up. Back at home, the plumber arrives more than 40 minutes late, irritating Giovanni. The situation worsens when the plumber tries to unnecessarily replace all the pipes in his house, leading Giovanni to beat him with tools from the basement. He then puts the injured plumber in his van and takes him to the hospital. The doctor is puzzled by the extent of the plumber's injuries, which appear too severe to result from just falling downstairs. At the same time, Rocco kills the family of a seafood shop owner for not having information about Giovanni. Despite this, he continues writing his memoir, reminiscing about how he used to care for his old neighborhood in Brooklyn. In the evening, Maggie reprimands Giovanni for attacking the plumber, but Giovanni counters by bringing up the explosion she caused at the convenience store. Discussing her fascination with fire gets Giovanni all worked up, and the two become intimate right there on the sofa. On the weekend, the family hosts a barbecue for all the neighbors, a plan they are not thrilled about, but Stansfield insisted to help them blend into the community. Maggie asks Belle about the guy named Henri she's bringing and advises her to be cautious, but Belle assures her there's no need to worry, she won't rush into anything improper and will wait for the right moment with her true love. Warren shows up with several bottles of soda, urging his mom to serve American food instead of French dishes because that's what the neighbors are expecting. It appears he's correct, the neighbors have come to meet the quirky Americans and are excited to try their unusual food. Even DeSicco and Mima get to leave their observation post and join the celebration. The only person missing is Giovanni, whom Belle finds in the garden shed. Writing down his life story has felt like staring into a mirror for hours, and he's come to regret not being a better father and putting his family in difficult situations. However, Belle disagrees, telling him she believes he's the best dad in the world. Feeling more upbeat, Giovanni joins the gathering but soon gets annoyed when neighbors try to show him how to light a grill. He fantasizes about ways to torment them for their rudeness, but before he can act, Stansfield arrives. In a private conversation, Stansfield tells Giovanni that people at the White House are concerned about the book Giovanni is writing, fearing it might expose many individuals. Giovanni assures him he's writing the book for personal reasons and doesn't intend to publish it. Stansfield also mentions that Giovanni's cooperation against Lucchese has been great publicity for the FBI, leading more former Mafia members to provide information in exchange for protection and a safer life. At the end of the party, Belle feels let down because Henri did not attend. The next day, Giovanni meets with the mayor to discuss the issue of brown water, but the mayor offers no solution. Frustrated, Giovanni imagines punching him but leaves without causing any trouble. He then goes to the water company and learns that the water arrives dirty from their sources. A worker suggests that a nearby fertilizer factory might be the cause. Giovanni visits the factory, and when the boss is uncooperative and rude, Giovanni ties him to the back of his car and drags him until he confesses. The man explains to Giovanni how to locate the turbine he needs to shut down to get clean water. With this crucial information, Giovanni leaves the man stranded on the road with his bike, threatening to harm him if he tells anyone. Upon returning home, Giovanni finds Stansfield reading his manuscript. Stansfield likes the manuscript but admonishes Giovanni for writing it. Meanwhile, Maggie is frequently visiting the church, where the priest convinces her to make a confession by ensuring her that it's confidential. However, Maggie's revelations are so disturbing that they haunt the priest for a week, leading him to ban her from the church. At school, Warren realizes he forgot to write an article for the school paper. In a rush, he quotes a statement from Lucchese's time as a young boy. This newspaper circulates widely, eventually reaching Lucchese in his prison cell. Lucchese recognizes the quote and sends his men to Normandy to track down Giovanni. After classes, Belle visits Henri, and they make love in his classroom. Later that evening, Giovanni receives a call from a neighbor he met at a barbecue, inviting him to a monthly community film event. They plan to watch an American classic film and want Giovanni to lead the discussion due to his writing expertise. Giovanni agrees, but since the FBI monitors his calls, Stansfield shows up soon after to warn him that it's a terrible idea. Giovanni disagrees. He believes attending the event is a good way to show they fit in, so he convinces Stansfield to join him. The next day, the school board finds out about Warren's violent behavior and crime, prompting Warren to hurry home for money and fake IDs to flee to Paris and start a criminal enterprise, following his father's footsteps at age 13. Before leaving, he bids farewell to his sister, who is heartbroken because she's in love with Henri. For Henri, however, she was just a brief affair, and now that he's graduated, he too will move to Paris. Giovanni places a doll in his seat to mislead the FBI and sneaks out to plant a bomb on the turbine responsible for the brown water. Later, he meets Stansfield and they attend the film event, discovering Goodfellas will be screened. Stansfield thinks this is a terrible idea, but Giovanni argues that leaving early would seem suspicious. After the film, Giovanni is asked to comment on its realism related to New York. Giovanni can't resist and starts recounting his own life as a mafia boss, which the audience mistakes for fiction. Stansfield, disapproving and worried Giovanni is losing control, contacts DeSicco and Mima to gather the family and go to Plan B. Meanwhile, Warren waits at the station for his train to Paris, and Belle is on a rooftop phoning Henri, threatening suicide if he doesn't reconcile with her. At that moment, the siblings spot a group of Mafia hitmen arriving in town. They rush back home to alert their parents, especially since Warren tried calling but got no answer because Maggie missed the call. The hitmen massacre everyone at the police station and use the records to track down Giovanni's address. They also kill the firefighters and slash the tires on the fire trucks. Meanwhile, Maggie teams up with DeSicco and Mima to search for her children as they're not home. Suddenly, an explosion rocks the city. It's the bomb Giovanni set to go off now, so he could use the film event as an alibi. Stansfield drives him home, instructing Giovanni to stay inside while he deals with the police. Maggie also wants to return home, but as soon as she steps outside, she spots the mysterious men in black and retreats inside with DeSicco and Mima, trying to call the house again but her husband doesn't answer. The hitmen reach the house and blow it up, killing any neighbors who come out to see what happened. Fortunately, Giovanni survives by hiding in the garden after Malavita's barking alerted him. Maggie wants to go to him, but as soon as DeSicco and Mima approach the door, they're instantly killed by one of the hitmen who then threatens to harm Maggie before killing her. At that moment, Giovanni arrives and tackles the hitman, choking him from behind. Meanwhile, Maggie searches for a knife and uses it to fatally stab the assailant. As all the hitmen are preoccupied with examining the destroyed house and debating whether to kill the dog, Warren and Belle sneak in and steal some weapons from the trunks of the hitmen's cars. A shootout breaks out, and Warren and Belle successfully kill most of the hitmen except for Rocco. Warren, knocked out after being hit by recoil, is left on the ground by Belle, who runs away, hoping Rocco has run out of ammunition. Surprisingly, Rocco is still determined and chases her until Stansfield arrives unexpectedly and runs him over with his car. Though all the hitmen are dead, the family's cover is blown, so they must move to a new town and adopt new identities once again. Giovanni, however, is content because he was able to share his story with an audience, even if they thought it was fiction. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thanks and see you again soon. Take care.